everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another video. Thank you so much for taking the time to log on and join me today. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, welcome. My name is Natasha and I'm a WW member. I lost 4 stone in under 12 months and I'm currently in my 6th month of maintaining, which is amazing. I'm so proud. I felt like when I got to maintenance everything would get so much harder, but actually I found it really easy, and I'm just so grateful that the habits have been changed for life. It's just incredible. So yeah. Also, for those of you that didn't know, I'm a WW ambassador, so everything that you see on this channel, everything that you hear about, you can count on it. It's official information, and yeah, I hope that helps you guys. I would definitely say that my WW journey has been amazingly successful. I was invited on their podcast, I have been in the magazine. It's absolutely crazy. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that have come my way just from changing my lifestyle and actually doing something that was completely for myself and something that I really wanted to do, and it's incredible. But today we're going to be talking about all 3 of the WW plans and the advantages and disadvantages of each, because as much as I kind of sing the praises of WW, I appreciate it's not for everybody. I appreciate that when it comes to these 3 plans, there are going to have things that appeal to people and then things that people do not like so much. Today I thought we would go through the advantages and disadvantages of the blue plan, and likewise in upcoming videos we will do advantages and disadvantages of purple and disadvantages and advantages of green as well. If you're kind of a bit confused and not too sure what I'm talking about, WW have now launched what is called My WW. I did a full video on that explaining all of the 3 plans, the changes, the ideas behind it. You can go check that out above in case you haven't seen it. But today we're going to be homing in on the blue plan and talking about the great things about it and the things that aren't that fantastic. So as a blue plan member, this is something that I know a lot about. It's something that, again, I've had access to all of this information officially quite early as well, so it makes you make the right decision when it comes to selecting your wellness plan. But the first advantage is the fact that nothing really has changed. So if you were a massive fan of the previous plan on WW, you didn't really want this change, you weren't looking for it, everything was working really well for you, then a huge advantage of the blue plan is that nothing really has changed. There's just been a few little tweaks here and there to improve it, to make it better. And also we've had more 0 point foods added to the menu. If you're not sure what a 0 point food is, I have done a video on this, I will link it above, but in a nutshell, a 0 point food is one that you do not need to deduct from your dailies. You can eat it till you're satisfied and you do not have to factor it in to your daily smart point allowance. What I will say in saying that is, do not assume that you can overindulge in these items, because no food is without calories, and I have done a video on why people make a lot of mistakes and even increase their weight when it comes to WW, so do check out that video because it's super important, especially when you're working with so many zero heroes and 0 point foods. You want to be educated, you want to know that everything that you consume does have a point value technically, or a calorie value, even if it says it's free on WW. So just to get out of that confusion and mindset, do check out that video. But we have had more 0 point foods added to the menu, which is amazing, a huge advantage. So number 1 is the fact that nothing has really changed, and advantage 2 is the fact that we've had more things added to the 0 point food menu. The third one is, I feel, in my opinion, that this plan is fantastic for both weight loss and maintenance. So with other plans you might think, well, that's going to be amazing for weight loss but not so great for maintenance, or that's going to be amazing for maintenance but perhaps not so much for weight loss. I feel like the blue plan, and I'm kind of proof of this because I've lost the weight, I've been maintaining for 6 months, I've had no issues with it. So I think the blue plan is both fantastic for aiding a weight loss and for maintaining. I don't feel the need to switch things up. I feel like it's working really well for me. So I would definitely say that the advantages to the blue plan is that you can lose weight on it, but you can also really easily maintain your weight as well. The fourth advantage out of the 5 that I wanted to talk about today is the fact that you get a really decent daily allowance. You'll find that with the green plan you get a lot when it comes to dailies, but then your 0 point foods decrease. And you'll find that when it comes to dailies on purple, you get even less, and you might look at that and think, wow, how can I stick to that? But then when you research it more, you realise that your 0 point foods have been extended or added. There's so much on there, guys, like so much. So I think the blue is a happy medium. There is a decent amount of dailies, but there's also a really fantastic over 200 0 point foods, which is incredible. So I think that when it comes to both the dailies and the weekly rollover, all of that jazz, is a really decent kitty, and it's one that's really realistic as well. You can have your McDonald's of a weekend, you can have your sticky toffee pudding, but also you're not going to break the bank on your dailies or your weeklies too much. It's just a really practical and realistic stance on things, I think. Personally for me, I don't want the temptation of having potatoes be a 0-point food, because I would just gorge on french fries. Like, I know myself, and I think this is a fantastic way of looking at the plans, like, and choosing something that suits you, it suits your mentality and the way that you go about things. If you know that you don't have a lot of self-control, if you know that, you know, carbs are an issue for you and you tend to binge eat them, then perhaps purple just isn't the right one, because there's a lot of temptation there. With blue, I think it's a happy medium. You get a decent amount of dailies, a decent amount of weeklies, and 0-point food list is high as well. So definitely I would say that's an advantage for me. And then the final main advantage I would say is that it's really easy to follow and to implement into your lifestyle. It's really realistic. Again, I have done WW really successfully, but I've also done it really realistically. You guys will know that from my very popular What I Eat in a Day videos, that you will find an abundance of treats in there. You'll find really nutritious home-cooked hearty meals, but then you'll also find McDonald's in there, Pizza Hut, you know, whatever. I feel like life is for living, and if you restrict yourself too much, there is no incentive. I feel like the blue plan is a really fantastic all-rounder and realistic to follow, especially for people like me that have a decent amount of self-control. Like, they know their limits, they're great at saying no, they're great at knowing everything in moderation, but also they're realistic, and they know that if they see the Big Tasty on the McDonald's drive-thru menu, they're gonna order it, and that is completely okay. So I feel like the advantages are nothing has really changed. So if you loved the previous plan, you're going to love it. More 0-point foods have been added to the menu, which is always a fantastic thing. It's great for weight loss and for maintenance, so both of them work really well on this plan. You get a decent amount of dailies and weeklies, and there is rollover, which is all fantastic. And then finally, it's really easy to follow, and everything in moderation is the key principle of that plan. So those are the main advantages. So now I'm going to switch over and talk about the things that people may see as a disadvantage, or that I personally think, oh, that's a bit of a bummer. The first thing is kind of contrasting what I've just said. So nothing has really changed. I feel like some people would have preferred a little bit of change, but people like me that were really successful on it and have really loved it are going to kind of not feel that way. But I appreciate there are two sides to every coin. Some people may have wanted more changes. Some people may have wanted a slightly less dailies but more 0-point foods added. Some people may have wanted some complex carbs in there to kind of even things out a little bit and not have you rely so heavily on your willpower. So some people may have welcomed a bit more change, but the only way I respond to that is just check out the other plans and see if they work for you. Next disadvantage comes with, again, a contrast, but it's the 0-point foods list. So there were 200, a few more have been added now, and I feel like when it comes to 0-point foods, it creates a lot of confusion. Some people, especially if you're new to WW, may say, look, if it's free, it's free, so why can't I eat as much of it as I want? And technically, I agree with you. I agree that that's a bit of a grey area, but the only thing I would ask you to consider is every single food calorie that you put into your body, apart from water, has a calorie value. So every food, even if it's fruit and veg, has a calorie value. So even if WW are calling it a zero hero or a 0-point food or free, it's never free in terms of calories. So if you're over consuming on these foods and then going on to eat your dailies as well, it's not going to work, because you're eating more calories or you're consuming more calories than you're burning. So you're not going to see a weight loss. You might be lucky just to maintain. So I feel like with the greater food point list, there is more of a grey area. So people may not respond well to that. They might want it in black and white. It's either free or it's not. It's either yes or no. And that's where I would say the green plan would be great for you guys, because everything has a point value. There are 0-point foods, but you are tracking more because you have more dailies to consider. So that might be a way of getting around that, but I do think that 0-point foods do come with a little bit of confusion, especially for newbies as well. The third one is it requires a little bit of knowledge on all of the other plans, I think, because there's not much changes that have gone on with blue, and because you're kind of left to your own devices in a way where you have to track 50% and then you have like a decent amount of 0-point foods. I feel like a lot is assumed that you would know, if that makes sense. Like, you're not as guided as you are with the other plans. There's not again, there's that grey area that may throw people off. So I feel like you need to have a bit more information when it comes to following the blue plan. So some people that are new to it might kind of shy away from it and think, you know what, I'm not too sure about this. 0 point foods really confused me. I'd rather have a daily kitty that I know once it's done, it's done. So yeah, I would definitely say it does require a little bit of knowledge on prior plans and the other 2 plans as well. But that just depends how you look at it. I mean, some people may look at blue and think that is for me, and they're completely new to WW, and that is completely okay. But the feedback I've had from you guys, and also from meetings and other things, and in the workshops of WW that I've been to, I find that people are a bit confused and assume that they need to know a little bit more to get themselves through, and I would agree with that. I think it's definitely the case. Number 4 is that you might look at your dailies and compare them to a plan like green and think, I have far less dailies, I'm not super happy about that. And it's true, we do get less dailies than a green plan would. But the only way of countering that is, again, our 0 point foods have been bumped up, and that is the reason that dailies have remained the same and why greens have gone up, because their 0 point food group is less. I guess it's all about having a think about which plan works for you. I would definitely say, even if you're coming from a plan like I have that you've tried and tested, make sure you are researching all 3 plans. Don't just think, you know, it works for me, blue, I'm going to stick with it, without really doing your research, because you may find that you would thrive on green or you'd thrive on purple. So definitely have a bit more of a look about things. But I would definitely say that some people were a little bit ticked off at the fact that our dailies were not increased like the greens were. So, you know, that was a bit of a disadvantage. And then the last one is one that you can sort of look at and think, this again, it comes with willpower, and it comes with what type of person you are, and that is the fact that it would have been nice to have a few more complex carbs in our 0 point food menu, and that the blue plan really is not for carb lovers, and that is completely true. When it comes to spaghetti, pasta, bread, things like that, they're not the cheapest when it comes to point value, and they will suck up a hell of a lot of your daily intake, especially if you're having them quite frequently. And I think a lot of people would have preferred a few more complex carbs thrown into the mix. Myself, I don't consume a lot of carbohydrates. I mean, I have a lot of broccoli, and I think a lot of people are surprised to learn that broccoli is a carbohydrate. I eat bread, I eat flatbreads mainly. I very rarely eat like toast or loaves of bread. I do have tiger tail casseroles and things like that, but I'm not a big sandwich eater, and when I do, I tend to have flatbreads or like sliced loaf that I can weigh out. But yeah, I would definitely say the blue plan isn't for the carb lovers. If you're really into your carbohydrates, and you know, or you're vegetarian perhaps, or you're vegan, and you know you're going to eat a lot of veg and a lot of complex carbs, I would definitely say that the purple plan is one to look into more, because they're free. They become 0 point foods. It's crazy, and I think it's amazing for those types of people, or people in general that just want to indulge in carbohydrates more. But for me personally, the advantages way outweigh the disadvantages, but again, this is all up for debate. You guys can let me know in the comments box down below what you guys think, what you think the advantages are, what you think is not so great at. I would love to hear from you, but I hope that this has helped to give some clarity on the situation. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the purple plan and the green plan, pros and cons, coming very soon, and don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free. I would love to have you here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.